red, that blue one is the
Left
lumbar vein. Okay. In this particular cat, remember that at the end of the post cava, from this branch point right here to where you leave the end of the post cava, that is the left common iliac vein. Okay. This particular branch point, let me see if I can arrange it so everybody can see it. Where the branch point occurs, and let me lift it up, what's on the probe right now, that's heading into the pelvis, that is that's correct, the left internal iliac vein, and from that point to the body wall, that would be the left external iliac vein, till it hits the leg, at which point it becomes the left femoral vein. Okay, the only other vein in the region would be the one that we waited to mention, the hepatic. Let me see if I can get it to hepatic portal vein. Let's see.
You said that dark, that brown.
Yeah, that dark brown right there. That's the hepatic portal vein right there. And again, remember that if I were to ask about that particular one, it would be a bright yellow, because I'd be using that triple injected cat. Here, yeah, we won't even try. Okay. All right. Everybody good with those vessels?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. In that case, what I'm going to do, start back up here in the head. So that this area right here would be, that is the oral cavity. This large structure is the tongue. And the bumps on the top are the papillae, whereas this stringy piece right there, linguinal frenulum. You got it. This is hard, so hard palate. And the soft squishy, which I can also see there, soft palate. You got it. Right here, the area, that is the vestibule. The material covering the teeth, gingiva. Okay. In this particular case, you can see this meaty, chewed up stuff right here.
Oh, that is the parotid.
That's the parotid salivary gland, whereas this one is the submandibular salivary gland. And there you go. Again, there's the submandibular, there's the parotid, and here you can see a nice white stringy piece going right there. That's the parotid duct. You got it. All right, as far as this piece that I've lifted up, this box-like piece right here, the hard cartilage, that is the larynx. And if I flip it over, you can see a little tongue-like flap, epiglottis, whereas the slit is the glottis. If I turn it so that you can see this,
trachea.
That is actually the thyroid gland sitting on the trachea. Just because it might show up a little bit better there, you can see a little bit more contrast in that one. That's the thyroid gland as opposed to the trachea. Remember, the trachea is the tube that has all the rings in it. All right. The deal with the trachea, again, which continues here, is eventually it winds up in these organs. These are the lungs, which sitting right between them is the heart. All right. Behind the trachea, this soft muscular tube, that's the esophagus. And hey, look, see the white stringy stuff right there? That's the adventio that we talked about in lecture. Obviously not in your lab test, but there you go. All right, as far as this organ right here, this muscular dome is the diaphragm. And if I were to find the esophagus and poke my way through the diaphragm,
Esophageal hiatus.
that is the esophageal hiatus. And let me see if I can get it to go through. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, I think at this point everybody's poked through. It's just a matter of finding this location. All right, there you go. Okay, poking through right by the, that's right, esophageal hiatus. And then if I poke through right where my descending thoracic aorta goes to my descending abdominal aorta, that is the aortic hiatus. Okay. Big organ right there.
That's your right.
Well, that is the organ, is the liver. No, it's fine. It's fine. If I were to look at this particular structure, this is the left lateral lobe. This is the left medial lobe. This is right medial lobe. Right medial lobe. Excellent. Everybody caught that. Because remember, all of this is one lobe. It's just a split for this particular organ, which is the gallbladder. Remember, if you're trying to find the medial lobes, you look for this piece of connective tissue. That's the falciform ligament, because you've got the medial lobes to either side. All right, so if that's all medial, where's the lateral? The lateral is in part right.
Yeah, we have a good
Yeah, that one's fused. So this one would be the lateral, specifically the right lateral. And this one, yeah, because it looks like a fishtail, that's the caudate lobe. Okay. The ducts. If you look at this green duct that is going into the intestine, okay, it's a single duct that drains from all of this tissue, so that is the common bile duct. Whereas if we take the probe and we pull at the green duct that's coming from the gallbladder, that's the it is bile. Cystic bile duct, right? But if I turn it to get this one that's coming from the liver, that's the hepatic. Okay, that's the hepatic duct. Okay, another organ you can see in the same area. Hey, look, it's this one, which is the stomach. Okay, where the esophagus first comes in, that is the cardiac portion. Here's the hump or shoulder, fundus. The major part right here is the body, and where it narrows is the poric portion. All right, the idea is that this is a large curve, so it's the greater curvature from which is hanging the omentum. You got it. Here is the smaller side, so this is the lesser and lesser omentum. You got it. All right.
How would you differentiate that in the test? How would you word it?
Could be like, what is this structure? What is this connective tissue?
Got it.
And worst case scenario, if it isn't clear, just ask.
Okay.
If I open it up and I look at all of these folds would be rugae. If I were to put a pin in there and say, what is this opening?
Esophageal sphincter.
The gastroesophageal sphincter. No, it's okay. And if I were to stick a pin here and say, what is this opening? It's the pyloric sphincter. Okay, the pyloric sphincter does lead into this organ. This organ is the small intestine. Okay, this portion of the small intestine is the duodenum. And you know that because it's by this organ, which is the pancreas. This, the great mass in the middle, is the jejunum. And this part is actually the ileum. And you know that because it's attached to this organ, which is the large intestine. If you open up the large intestine, hey, you can see that there is an opening, a valve. That opening is the ileocecal sphincter. And from the sphincter to the beginning, that portion is the cecum. All right, this part that's visible, ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, until you get to the pelvis, because then it becomes the rectum. You got it. All right. This is the kidney. If I open it up and take a look at this outer edge, that is the, in the middle is the medulla, and this empty space is the pelvis. If I look at the doorway where everything comes in and out, that is the hilus, okay, or hilum, either way, plural, singular, doesn't matter. All right, from each of the kidneys, there should be a white tube. Here it's intact. That is a ureter, which goes to this structure, which is the urinary bladder, and from which flows a single tube, the urethra. Okay. Now this is the male, so we have this. That is the testis. From it is the spermatocord. Okay, coming inside of the body wall, you have this tube, vas deferens. Okay, and the idea is the vas deferens should lead into this structure, which is the penis. Okay, the only thing to remember is that the other testy is still encased in its scrotum. Okay, for the female, right? Okay, for the female. The idea is that the gonad here, that one right there, would be the ovary, and it's held in place by this piece of connective tissue, suspensory ligament, and this broad ligament. Okay, it is covered by this flappy piece, which is the oviduct, uterine tube, fallopian tube. The idea is that that leads into which organ?
Uterus.
The uterus. The uterus does have two separate pieces. There are two uterine horns, and there is one uterine body. And again, you're going to know that because the bladder is facing this way. You can see all of the uterus. Because if I flip the bladder this way and you look at the tube between the urethra and the rectum, that's the vagina. Okay. All right, and if memory serves, that should be pretty much everything, right? I think we touched on every single piece there. Go bam.
Bam, bam.
Awesome.